I knew the body innately heals. It can't not.
A pocket of energy within myself.
This is for your mother. So just do this for her.
Let's figure out ways that we can actually use pleasure to come together and bring healing.
It's a modality where we go into your subconscious and change some of those limiting beliefs.
I'm Susan Marco, clinical hypnotist, and I have so many friends and people who have had big impact on my life, so I want to share them all with you. So hi everybody, welcome to Trance Talks. Trance Talks is, where I have conversations with practitioners across many different modalities and disciplines, mostly alternative. And I'm already laughing. We've just jumped on. I just connected with my guest today, and within the first 2 minutes, I'm laughing hysterically. So this one's going to be a lot of fun, but also very informative. So buckle in, and I'm going to introduce my esteemed guest, the famous Bob Burns, who we met in New York a couple of years ago, and I loved him at first sight, and we've kept in contact since. Bob is actually a hypnotherapist, but he is a seasoned trainer. He trains hypnotherapists globally, and he also sees clients globally as well. And I'm so honored that you would take the time to sit and chat with me, Bob. So why don't you just tell our listeners, who are you? Who is Bob Burns? And what do you do? How do you like to work?
Lovely to be here, Susan. Great to see you again. If I remember right, one of our first things was sitting on a bus talking about guns.
That's right.
No one will quite understand that. Anyway, here I am. So I hypnotized my first person back in 1973. I should say very quickly before we start, you are thinking of putting up some that little wordy stuff so that everybody can hear through my accent. Yeah, that'll be interesting for them. And it reminded me, I've got to tell you this very, very quick story. A guy called Ron Taylor, many years ago, he was doing an awards ceremony in London. And there was people from all over the world. And we were being bought over by the company New York Life at the time. So we were Windsor Life, we were being bought over. I was a general manager, that's going way back to the late 70s. I was a general manager of a company for the north of the UK. I ended up running the whole division. But at this time, my group had just won a prestigious award. And the guy came over to me and he says, I want to say, because we've got so many people coming from so many different countries, Bob, and I want to say hello in their native tongue. And, for Gaelic, for people from Scotland, I wanted to know if you could tell me how to say good evening for our Scottish friends. I said, yes, of course, I'd be delighted to do that. So, when the night started, it's being recorded live. It's going, in fact, not recorded live. It's going over to America on this Saturday night. It's Saturday afternoon in New York Life from these people who are about to buy our company. And they had this man say, so I want to say, Sarah, Paula Diaz, Armada. And he's going through all the different languages. And he says, and two, of course, our friends from Scotland, Poch Mahon. And suddenly there's this massive laughter gets up in the room and nobody knows what's happening. And I'm thinking, I wonder if some of my Scottish people over there in New York would understand that he's just said, and to our good friends from Scotland, I just want to say, kiss my arse. So he never got promoted after that. Do you know that? I ended up getting his job. I moved on like lightning. Anyway, we won't do too much of that. Back to me, Susan. I hypnotized my first person back in 1973. So I was when I was playing in a band, and I think I wrote something about that in a book that I got out there. And it was just somebody had happened to say, don't look into his eyes, he's a hypnotist. Girl looked into my eyes, I said sleep, and we got ahead just before it hit the ground. My band were terrified. They didn't know I was a hypnotist, and neither did I, which was the real incredible thing. And I thought, I need to find out some more, not about this, because I knew it wasn't me. I knew I had no power because I was having a bit of fun. And I guess that she didn't have a great deal of power, but something happened. I was using a thing. I didn't know what the thing was, but this thing has got some power for a certain bunch of people, because later I would say to other people, sleep, 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 and it didn't work. But it did for a certain amount of them. I thought, I need to know more about this. So I went off again. and I went to uni. I studied psychology, sociology, philosophy, all that good stuff. And through the psychology bit, I got to know a little bit about hypnotherapy. And I've been doing this for a lot of years now as a hypnotherapist. And I do a little bit. I've never had a hypnosis training college, but to train with me, you would have to come to my home. And this is pre-COVID, of course. You'd come to my home, you'd come to work with me for a couple of days, where I would charge you money. I'm a monster. You'd give me money, I'd put it in my pocket, it was bulging. You'd sit in the corner, bad face, because I've got your money. And I'd give you a pen and paper. You're not allowed to record, you're allowed to write for 2 days. And at night, in the evenings, I would cook you a meal, we'd have some nice wines, and we'd talk about all the clients. Normally 8. I've normally seen maybe 4 clients a day on average. So we talk about the 8 cases that you'd seen. And that's what I've been doing for a long, long time now. Along came COVID, destroyed everything, did it not? Certainly me. My business was finished. I don't think my phone rang for a whole month or something. And I had a good practice. And then when it started again, we started doing, my good friend Ines Simpson told me about this thing called online workshops. And I didn't know what she was talking about. And when she told me, I said, "Oh I could never do it," because I just cancelled Canada, I just cancelled Australia again, and cancelled a Japanese contract. Everything was gone, and I was making no money. I wasn't even seeing clients. And she told me about this thing. And I said, "I don't think I'd be interested in that." And so she said, "Well, from my kitchen on Sunday, and she told me what she did on Sunday from her kitchen and the people she saw, and I thought, maybe I should try this. So off I went on this business of online workshops. I've done lots of them now, but I've never loved them. Yeah, I've never quite got around to loving them. Just that little thing it's missing. In fact, I did a wonderful thing last month. I got a group of people. There's a thing from Alice in Wonderland. I think the line is from the Queen, is it? 6 impossible things before breakfast. So I called my day with Bob Burns 8 impossible things before dinner. 8 impossible things. Thought 6 wasn't quite enough. And I taught them 8 mentalist hypnosis things that you can do with a client who comes to see you. The client comes, you do something, and the client goes, "Oh my God, what happened there?" Now we do the business. So in other words, it can be evidential without doing the hypnosis that you can do something to help them. So I did a whole 1-day thing there. It was great fun. I've never done a 1 day before. I've done lots of days together and hours, but we did that. And I thank all the people in the class because that paid for my wife and I, my English wife. We just come back from Norway. We just went to the Norwegian fjords. We just got back 2 days ago. So I'm booking a couple more things, but mainly I'm taking it easier now. Yeah, we were just talking earlier. I'm much older than you. I know that. But I'm now, I'm taking it much easier now. Strumming the guitar. I'm going to a guitar club tonight. I've no clients today and only 1 tomorrow. And that's the life that I live now. I say about 3-4 clients a week. The truth be known. So it's nice and easy for me now. And that's it in a very scattered nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that comes up for me often, and earlier you had kind of reached out to me about this, and I wonder if it would be worthwhile to have a conversation about, because I know this is something that's close for you, that idea of imposter syndrome.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you, when you started practicing, I mean, obviously you had that moment where it was like, what just happened, but it's cool and it works.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all know what imposter syndrome is. The guys watching this will know what imposter syndrome is. We'll touch on it very briefly. And we'll keep it nice and simple so that even a 7-year-old child could understand what I'm saying. Is that okay? So we'll keep it nice and straightforward. So we've got somebody here called Jim. Jim's a good guy. He knows his work really well. He's studied in all the right places. He's had the proper mentoring. He's done everything right. But the thing about Jim is this. Just doesn't feel he's quite good enough. And he is. He absolutely is. But he doesn't feel he's quite good enough. He gets that knot in his chest for some reason, no matter what he's doing. And when I talk to him and he talks to me, I know right away, well, not right away, but after just 5 or 6 things going on here to delve into, I've got a young man with imposter syndrome, and we can do something about that. And that's it. Almost takes a bit longer to talk about how we fix this thing, but that's what imposter syndrome be. But what I've discovered a lot over the last, I'd say 10 years for sure, is I get people contacting me, and I'm talking with therapists now. Therapists will contact me, and when they talk to me, I ask what it is. They tell me they know what it is right away. It's imposter syndrome. I find that interesting that they know it's imposter syndrome. That's the first thing. It kind of puts a little creak in the door for me. I go in and we sit and we talk. And by the way, if this doesn't make people really angry, certain people, Susan, I'll be very surprised, because it does. And it's quite simply this. A lot of people who tell me they have imposter syndrome do not have imposter syndrome. Jim has imposter syndrome because he's great, he knows what he's doing, he spent his time, and they haven't quite done that. They've been on a weekend course somewhere. They've tried a couple of things. It's not working for them. They're not coming in droves to be healed by them. And they think that it's almost like, I think I'm not good enough. It's not really their problem. They kind of think they are quite good enough, but they can't understand why the hell it's not happening. And that's not imposter syndrome. That's something else. You better believe it when I tell you I let them know my feelings in the opening 5 minutes. I try and do it a fairly as nice a way as I can, but then I tell them that we'll now have a look at what they're not doing right and what they can maybe do to right in that, and then we'll go from there. I had a cracker this morning, lovely fella. I'm going to be with him again tomorrow. And strange. I mustn't give too much away here. I've got an intellectual here. I've got an intellectual who teaches at university level, but for 20 years, he says, I've really been interested in hypnosis, and I'd love to do that. And to be honest, I want to be a hypnotherapist, and I'd like you to mentor me. And I let him go on for a while, tell me all the things that he'd like to do. And it was incredible, because it's like he's been in all these courses, and yet he has no knowledge of what he needs to do to keep his family alive. Yeah, because he's going to have to pay for the mortgages and so on and so forth. And it's not the way he reads it. It's nothing like that. He's identical to me. I thought, I'll get there, get on the polka dot tie, the 3 corners of handkerchief. I'll sit there, they'll come in, I'll do all the stuff I've learned, nice deep breath, all the way down, deep, and I'll be fine, and I'll make an income, but it just didn't work like that for me. It seems it doesn't happen for most. Again, I'm going to upset some people by telling this, but understand, I know that you'll understand, and I'm hoping whoever is listening to this understands. This didn't come to me in a dream, and I'm certainly not making it up, and I don't want to harm anybody by what I say. On the contrary, it's the exact opposite of that. But some years ago, after hearing from all the therapists who told me they're seeing 50 people a week, and they're making a couple $100,000 a year, after talking to them individually, one-on-one, the story comes out of who they are. By the way, they're brilliant. I know lots of great therapists out there who could never earn a living doing this for reasons, and we can do something about that reasons, but that's a different thing. But my main thing is this. Pre-COVID, after talking to lots of people over a couple of years, I discovered that the average income, this is maybe 5 years ago here in the UK, was £7,000. That's £7,000. I'm going to take a guess and say that's about 10,000 US dollars. Taking a guess saying that. And I believe that would be about 14,000 Australian dollars. Yeah, it's 2 for 1, Australia, UK. And when I worked in the ones that I saw in America, one-on-one, and I really talked to them doing workshops and that, they told me a similar story. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. They're not failing. They're just part-time. And they're doing it as a side while they're doing this great thing, this great work of art that they do. They're seeing 2 or 3 people a week, and it's great. And some of them want to do more than that, and some of them don't. And that's okay. It's almost like I used to have a world where I worked in, it was spiritual healing. Never charged anybody a penny in 25 years, didn't want to, and I saw about 2 or 3 a week. It was a great way to go through life. And that's the way it is now. But like I just started by talking at the beginning of this little section here, the part about the imposter syndrome, when somebody can't understand why they're not doing better, and it's almost like I don't believe how good I am. Well, you're not that good yet. Or let's change it a little bit. You're not doing enough. There's a wonderful fella out of Chicago. In the 1970s, when I trained with him, called William Clement Stone, he wrote the book The Success System That Never Fails, and he said you've only to do three things in this business, and it was businesses like us, because in the end of the day, we're in the selling business. We need to sell somebody an idea of coming to sit down in front of us, and we see if we're going to help them. And he said you only need to do three things. You've only got to see the people, see the people, see the people. That's all you've got to do. And nearly all the therapists I talk to never see the people. They don't really do it properly. Or they'll go out in a thing with that Google thing, yeah? They'll spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on Google to get the clicks to make the appointments. I heard from lots of people, they are successful at that. I wasn't. I failed miserably. I spent a fortune. I never spent a fortune. I spent about £450. When I come to my senses, I got something like 218 clicks with not one appointment. I did that, by the way, because I moved down to England about 6 months ago. I thought, have a go at this Google thing and see what happens. So I'm back doing the things I used to do before. And how I taught people, how I built up my practice to begin with. Right now, Susan, you're looking at a man who's out there really grafting. I'm doing talks on. And by the way, if anyone's listening here, you're thinking of starting up a new practice, here's my 2 tips for you. The first step is do work on teaching self-hypnosis. If you help start doing self-hypnosis groups, worst case scenario, everybody becomes your client. Can you handle that? That's the worst case scenario. Everybody becomes your client, and you move on teaching other people about it. And you'll get a great kick out of it as well, because it's such a wonderful thing to give. I keep my fees very low for that, because I really want to build up this group and then build a client bank. The other thing I do is I do lots of talks, Susan. I'm on my feet most weeks doing talks. It could be a women's group are over there doing things to do with, I don't know, it could be knitting, it could be bus driving, I don't care what it is. I'll be doing talks. I prefer, it's easier when women's groups than men's groups. I've always known women are better than men. I don't have to be a genius to know that. So I do lots of talks like that too. But any talks, any groups at all, at the end of it, anyone who's been in my workshops, I show them what I do in these talks. I'll maybe do 8 things in my talk. I have to kick 8 points. And the last point is handing up my business card. I do it in a flourishy way so they'll never forget you again. And from my talks, I make clients. That's what I do. Not as much now as before, because I'm not looking for that amount of clients as before. But if anybody was starting it now, and that's what I do, I'll be doing a little bit more mentoring since I've moved down here. That's what I'll be teaching people, how to do these talks, these 2 particular talks, and how to get the appointments to do the talks. Because that's the things they can't do. We make mistakes, do we? We teach people how to do things, but we don't teach them how to see the people to do the things, yeah? Here we go again. See the people, see the people, see the people. William Clement Stone, a genius. And he said one more thing on top of that, Susan, then I'm going to give you time to breathe and talk to me. He said one more thing on top of see the people, see the people, see the people. He said, oh, and do it now. That was the one. That was his main one. Do it now. It's a lovely story of him having me in his office one day. And he's telling me this and he's telling me that. And Robert, you do great, but you're just not doing it now. You don't do it now, Robert. And I said, I do, Mr. Stone. I do. I do. Ask the guys. I do. I'm like, no, but you don't. You're done. This went on for ages. And I said, why are you saying that? He said, well, Robert, we've been talking now for 17 minutes and you're still here. This interview was finished 15 minutes ago. So that was a great lesson for me. Then I was standing waffling. He was asking me to go and move it and come back with figures. So we could talk about the figures of the clever things that I'd done. Sounded horrendous. It wasn't. I loved American training back in the 70s. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were the best in the world. And I'm happy that I got someone to train me. So in a very scattered nutshell, that's it. No needs to buy the book anymore. Well done.
So one thing I want to say, just on the heels of all of that, is that ultimately our goal as practitioners, as therapists, as healers, whatever moniker we want to go by, ultimately we want to help people. We want to help as many people as we can, right? Yeah. And getting people into our chair or into our workshops or all of that. And I know that you come from the same philosophy, really, that it's really more about helping. It's more about putting out these wonderful tools that we have to to be able to help people. And oftentimes, I mean, I've had lots of clients come through that were really at the end. You know, they were very frustrated. They've done all the work, they've done all the therapy, they've done all the things, and they don't get the change that they're looking for.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think I use the word ultimately now 5 times. But that's really where we're at, and what we're about is, and I know from your spiritual background, the more we can raise the frequency of the planet, the more that we can level up. Like, I want to keep leveling up so that I can bring my clients with me, right? So that people can have that kind of an experience. And how do we do that? By all the things that you were just saying. So that's not limited to a practitioner, right? That's in life in general. How do we step into being more of ourself and bring our gifts with us? And that's, to me, that's the thing about imposter syndrome, is that I know for a long time, I was like afraid of my gifts. I had fear of stepping into it, because what if I make a mistake, or what if I fail, or what if? And at the end of the day, you are so right, because it was really about having the right set of tools to be able to work with.
Absolutely. They've even got a saying there, haven't they? In NLP, for example, they say, there's no failure, there's only feedback. I think that's the worst saying I've ever heard in my life. Shut up. Sometimes, I mean, I've failed more than anybody I know. And many times I got no feedback whatsoever. I just failed. I only failed. That's what happened. It never worked. It's okay. But my cutting edge gets sharper every single time I fail. So I guess you might want to even say that that's feedback. And it's funny, you're talking about the spirituals. I tell you, by pure coincidence, this book is sitting right in front of me. It's called...
my favorite.
Is that true?
My favorite. I just read it again recently, because I hadn't read it in years.
I think I'm reading it for the 17th time. I tried to count. I think it's about 17, 18 times. I give this a copy to so many friends of mine. Yeah.
Hold on. For those that are listening, Bob's holding up the book, Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah by Richard Bach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful. It's a great thing. And I met a guy at the College for Psychic Development, I guess, here in the UK. It's called Stansted. And I met my English wife there when I was doing a talk 33 years ago or so. And while I was there as well, I met this Russian who says, "Do you know this man, Richard Bach?" And I'd never heard of him, of course. And he told me, "This is the greatest book I have ever read." And I got one of these books from him. This is about the 9th copy I've had of it now. I keep reading it. And of course, this is also the guy who wrote The Adventures of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, yeah?
Yes.
Also, I think it's just Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which, of course, both of these books are just absolutely wonderful. Yeah. But again, you cannot read this book and have problems in life afterwards. I think it's got to be impossible. Yeah. It's just got to be. And we all need something like that. There's lots of books. There's lots of lovely stuff out there. But once we grab a thing that we like, that we're happy with, we can then move forward with that. As you mentioned, my spiritual side, I don't consider myself a highly spiritual man, but I was a spiritual healer long before I did this stuff. And I worked for years, and we weren't interested in money. I've got colleagues right now that I hear them training people, saying, you need to ask for, this is pounds sterling. You've got to put your fees up to about £500, because it won't work unless they know the value of your work and so on and so forth. It's not a lie, but it's so untrue. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. It's like, so if I do it for nothing, I'm not good enough to fix this person? No. I can't fix this person, no matter how good I am, because I'm not charging them money. Is that true? I mean, could you imagine Jesus Christ? Let's assume he's real for a second there. I'm okay with Jesus. I'm okay with the Jesus guy. But let's assume he is there and everything's fine. Could you imagine him turning around and saying, "By the way, that's $15. It's not gonna happen, is it? The movie's not being made suddenly. Yeah. It just wouldn't be right. But no, you're right. So this thing for me has always been about, I can honestly say, doing the business, helping them. I like a penny. and I can make a penny when I want to. But because we like a penny and we can make one when we want to, it also gives us, and we've talked about this before, it gives us this wonderful thing when we're talking to someone, and it's a single parent. She's got 3 kids. She's on her own. She's completely broke. We now come to the bit about the fees, and it's wonderful because I get to, I'll call it what it is. I get to lie. I get to lie to her. I love telling lies. They're beautiful. So I get to lie to her because if I tell her the truth, you know what? You can't afford this. You're down. I want to help you. This woman came to me with pride in her heart. She doesn't want my freaking free gifts. So I turned around and I tell her the truth, which is a lie. Hey, this week, I'm not charging single parents. And she'll look at me and she'll give me that sly smile as well. Say, I think you're maybe like, but we'll go over it that way. I do something, she's happy, and later, of course, I don't know, a cake will arrive in my home or some stuff like that. But it's thrilling. It's totally, completely, and absolutely thrilling. Suffice to say that that's wonderful when you're up there, you're having the successes, and you can do that. But most of our colleagues out there would like to be in that situation. So I'm not going to sing too loudly about that. It's how to get there. And how to get there, like I said, is see the people, see the people, see the people. Mm-hmm. That 2 tips I've just given, will that be picked up by a lot of people and brought forward? Probably not. But that's the way it's always been in my work, Susan. You know, I remember being in, I remember vividly being in Australia, in Melbourne, and a guy putting up his hand and saying, you know, you're showing us this stuff and we're looking at the fees that we're paying you, and for the fees we're paying, you're telling us everything, but by the time we finish, mate, we'll know everything you know, and we'll be your competition. Why are you, why are you so cheap? Why are you going to do this to us for at the time it was probably something like 800 Australian dollars? And I said, well, it's easy. I don't have to lie to you. I can tell you the truth, which makes me look a little bit better, and we'll do some stuff here, and it'll work, and everybody's happy, and we'll all go home, and you'll never be my competition because you'll never use it. And the whole room with that silence of silence, yeah? But it's true. That's what happens. I said to him, you'll take it home, you'll tell people I'm lovely, you had a great time with me, you'll put it in the drawer, you'll mean to pull it out on Thursday, but Thursday will become September. And you won't know what the hell is written on the pages, yeah? That guy and I are very good friends now, yeah? He's a great therapist, I have to say, by the way, but it took him a while. It took him a year to even get started, but that's the way of it. So, and again, the guy I met today, and I'm going to do some work with him tomorrow, he's been to 7 masters. He spent thousands on therapy. And of all the names he gave me, they're all good names. Any one of them would have been enough for him to get started. All he had to do was move it. Do it now.
Take action.
He's never got around to doing that.
Yeah.
Fail miserably. Feeling is it's rock and roll. Yeah.
Failing is not a problem. It's when failure derails you and you stop moving. Failing is like one of okay, I'm going to give Emma Romano a plug because she recently said in one of her mentorship sessions, fail forward.
Fail forward, great line.
You're gonna fail. You're going to fail. But it's good. We learn and we keep moving forward from that.
Well, look at that wonderful woman, one of your country women. I think it's Susan Jeffers, isn't it? I think it must have been something around about 73 or something like that. I can't remember. I was in an airport and I looked at this book. It was for sale, and it was a woman called Susan Jeffers. I'd never heard of her, but when I looked at the name of the book, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to buy that book and I'll never have to open it. It's all there on the front of the book. I've got all the tuition I never need, and there it was. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I mean, what a line! It's the best line I've ever read of anything to do with motivation. Feel the fear, yeah, but do it anyway. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Right? Prove to you.
I always wanted to meet her, but I never got around to meeting Susan. But she would have been a real winner for sure. Yeah.
I was just going to say, prove to yourself that you won't die if you do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
And dying will be okay, but that's maybe for another one. We can't cover death today.
Oh, that's another podcast episode.
The death podcast. Bob Burns. One person turned up. It was Bob. No one else. It was a nightmare. Yeah.
So I think that's a good place to leave it. But I wanted to ask you, do you have anything you want to plug? Like, I know you just had a book You just posted about yeah, I know you've written a few things. You want to
Well,
share
no, what's
anything?
happened is my audio has just come out. So you can get the Kindle thing of it's quite funny because this has never happened before. It's not, this is no big deal, by the way. It's just never happened before in my lifetime, obviously. So somebody contacted me 2 days ago to say, I just got your audiobook and I'd like to maybe get a couple of sessions from you. And I'm also about to buy your book. And I started giggling because we're talking on WhatsApp. And I started giggling like a little schoolboy. And I was giggling because no one's ever had my audiobook with me reading my story to them every night. And then they go and buy the book afterwards. It's normally the other way around. So, but it's the other way around, of course, because I didn't have an audiobook till a few weeks ago. So if anyone's interested in the audiobook, it's very cheap. You get to hear my voice for a couple of nights. Buy a pole, put it in your house, dance, do pole dancing while I read to you. I believe it's wonderful.
Does it come with subtitles?
You'll be fine. I'll hum now and again. It'll be fine. So the Kindle is out there, and it's me telling you a little bit about the book itself, Real or Imagined. And I called it Real or Imagined. It was a nice closer for us, Susan. Called it Real or Imagined because a lot of the stuff that's in it, I knew I'd get some problems from some other people within therapy, let's say, because some of the claims that I make in the book, and I do make the claims, I make them strongly, but I called it Real or Imagined. In other words, it's not necessarily real. So that made people stop and go, can't even give him an argument. He says it's real or it's imagined. So probably the cleverest move I made. Yeah.
I love it. So I'll put that in the show notes if we'll put a link to the book in case anybody wants to. I'm sure people are going to want to. But I have one more question for you, and I love to ask this question of all of my guests. What do you feel is the key to success for your clients?
You know what? We just need another one. We just need another session because it's too long. I think everyone's got personal beliefs. That wouldn't be too far away, to be honest with you. I'm very, very simple with simple things. For example, we just came back off this Norwegian thing, and by Tuesday, it's a dreadful thing to say, by Tuesday, my English wife looked at me and went, I want to go home. Right? So her success is I could turn the camera now and she's out in the garden. And she just loves life by doing that. Me, every day I need to strum a guitar. I know I should make this deeper about healing people and love and what have you. I need to strum a guitar. That just keeps me on top of things. But we've all got different beliefs in different ways. Some people, religion, fine. Some people, different ways, meditation, okay. The law of attraction for them, fine. Not for me, but I understand it's for them. We've all got different things. I'm a simulation kind of guy, Susan. This will shock a few people before we leave. I believe this probably is all a complete, total, and absolute simulation. And I like it. I like the idea because the good news is we made the simulation. So don't be scared. Don't be scared of the simulation. You made it because you're clever. And I think that's it. That's how we get by everything, by just knowing that. Yeah.
Love that. And if people want to reach out to you, how would they contact you?
They'd contact me just through the name bobburnshypnotherapy.com. That's my website.
You have a contact form on there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And if they're Facebook people, they can invite me to be their friend. But speak to me. Don't click the box to invite me to be your friend because I get lots of strange people. I even click if I'm in the right mood to meet some of these strange people. But normally I don't. Just say, hey, I heard you at such and such. I want you to be a Facebook friend. The answer will always be yes. There's no big questions in it. But I need you to be real. Right? I need you to be real. Rather than, I saw your name somewhere and I don't have, but I just genuinely don't have the time for that because I've got too many people I want to help. Yeah. Yeah. So either on FaceTime or through my Facebook, through my website, bobburnshypnotherapy.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat with me.
Thanks, Susan. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Much love. Take care. Bye, guys.